So today we'll be comparing fractions. So looking at different fractions and trying to order them based on their size. So which is greater? So we'll start with this one. Which is greater, a half or 3/4? You might know that instantly. You might need to imagine, what does a half look like and what does 3/4 look like? You could think of a clock or maybe a cake or a pizza. So imagine these were pizzas and you were really hungry. What would be better, to have half a pizza, which is this one, or 3/4? So here is a quarter, but what about 3 of those? So we can add all of that. Which is greater, 3/4 or just the half here? And the correct answer is, of course, 3/4 is greater than a half. So if we look at fractions, we've got a whole here. So that could be a whole pizza. And then next you have half. So half is less than a whole. And then we go to a third. Do you notice what's happening? The slice is getting smaller. A quarter, even smaller. A fifth, even smaller. A sixth, even smaller, and so on. So as the denominator gets greater, the fraction actually gets smaller. Why is that? So remember, the larger the number of pieces of a whole, denominator, the smaller the piece. The way to think of this is, imagine you are really hungry and you have a pizza to share. Would you rather share it equally with one person, so you get half, or 20 people? So what's bigger, half a pizza or 1/20th of a pizza? And if you're sharing maybe 1/100th of a pizza, you could get a huge slice like that. So fraction rules can also help us compare fractions. So if you look at that fraction rule, you can see a whole is here and a quarter is here. And you can see that a quarter and a 2/8 are equivalent. 1/8, 2/8. But you can see a third here is greater than 2/8 here and a quarter. So fraction rules help us to just look at different fractions visually and compare them. So comparing fractions, which is greater, a half or 3/5? You might be able to do that mentally. 7/10 of 5/8, that's tricky. 2/3 of 3/4, maybe you can visualize that. Or 8/10 of 4/5. Now, some of you could have done those mentally, but some of them are tricky. So the fraction rule will help you. So if you look at a half or 3/5, just going to see where is a half. So a half isn't there, but I know a half is 2/4. So half is there, and fifths, 3/5 is here. If you can see that. So you can clearly see 3/5 is greater than a half. So let's just erase those. Next one, 7/10 of 5/8. 7/10. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7/10 is here. Just going to mark it there. And 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 is here. Which is greater? You can see it is here. 7/10 is greater than 5/8. Right, let's try the third one. 2/3 or 3/4. 2/3 or 3/4. Let's see. Here's 3/4. And where's 2/3? Way down here. 3/4 is definitely greater. And last one, 8/10 or 4/5. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to look at the fraction rule and work that out. Is it 8/10 or 4/5? Which is greater? And the answer is they're the same. Here's 4/5 up to here. and here's 8/10 here. So they are equivalent. So the answer was 3/5, 7/10, 3/4, and the final one was they were equivalent. Right, so you have this fraction paper. It's got the fraction wall on it and the fraction pizzas or pies or whatever you want to call them on it. They will help you when you're comparing fractions. So grab that if you're finding comparing fractions difficult and use your fraction wall or your fraction pies or pizzas to help you. So which fraction is greater here? You've got a nice cake here. You want a lot of it. Do you want 3/5 or 7/9? So how do we work out which is greater, 3/5 or 7/9? Because they look very close. Right, this is tricky, but let's see how we go. So bear with me, and I'll try and explain how we can compare tricky fractions. So if you look at the top, we've got 3/4 is greater than 5/9. A half is greater than 3/8. And 3/12 are equivalent to a quarter. So far that should be okay. But what about this? 3/5 versus 7/9. As you can see, ninths are not the same as fifths, so you can't directly compare them. You need to make the denominator, the number underneath, the same. An easy way to do that is just to multiply them. So 5 times 9 is 45. Okay? So now 3/5, 5 times 9, we got 45. So you do the same to the bottom as the top. So what is 3 times 9? 27. Right. The other side, we did 9 times 5. So 9 times 5 is 45. What is 7 times 5? 35. So which is greater? Is it 35 or is it 27? And the correct answer is 35. So 7/9 is greater than 3/5. 7/9 wins. Shortcut is called cross multiplying. So to cross multiply, what you do is just multiply the denominator with the opposing numerator. So 9 times 3, 27. Denominator, opposing numerator, 5 times 7 is 35. The winner is 35, so 7/9 is greater. Let's try this one. Which fraction is greater? 3/5 or 7/9? So 3/5 or 7/9? So we need to multiply the denominator 5 by the opposing numerator 7. And that will be the score for this one. 5 times 7 is 35. So 7/9 scores 35 points, we can say. Now we need to take this denominator 9 and multiply it with the 3 over here for the score for this one, 3/5. So it's 9 times 3. 5 seconds. What's 9 times 3? 9 times 3 is 27. So 3/5 scores 27 points, we could say. Which is greater, 35 or 27? 35 is, so 7/9 is greater. Let's try one more. 8/11 or 7/9. So remember, the 11 is multiplied by the 7, and the 9 is multiplied by the 8. The score goes to the numerator side. So the 11 times 7, the score will go here. So 8/11 or 7/9. 11 times 7 is 77. So 7/9 is scoring 77, we can say. 9 times 8, so we've got the denominator times the opposing numerator. 9 times 8 is 72. So 8/11 is 72. So which is greater? 7/9, of course, because 77 is greater than 72. So 7/9 is a greater fraction than 8/11. Right, I know that's tricky. Rewatch this if you need to, and I will also show you on the seesaw video I'll be making for this. But what I want you to do is look at these 5 fractions and just order them in your notebook, whiteboard, plain paper. And once you put them in order, so I want least to greatest, so the greatest fraction, the largest fraction will go last, then just take a photo and put it up on Seesaw. So just look at those fractions: 3/5, 1/12, 3/4, 5/10, or 1/3. You might be able to do it mentally. If not, try that trick I showed you where you can cross multiply. Looking at them, I'm looking at 5/10, and that reminds me, I think I can simplify that. You might know you can simplify that to a half, and then there's 3/4. Is 3/4 greater than a half or less than a half? What about a third? Is a half greater than a third or less? So hopefully that will help. Good luck.